Today I want to talk about a bit of a scam that I've noticed that's going around, heavily promoted on social media, and something that I think particularly people like myself and possibly a lot of you watching who have experienced issues with mental health, with addiction, with depression, a scam that I think you guys should be aware of so that people can not take advantage of your good nature, your goodwill and your desire to help other people. Obviously, this is very close to my heart. The reason I started this channel was to try and help people who had gone through or were going through the same addiction that I had spent most of my adult life suffering from. And by sharing my experiences and what worked for me and what didn't work for me and some of my highs and incredibly low lows, by doing all of this and basically by wearing my heart on my sleeve, maybe I can help other people in a similar situation. At the very least, let them know that they are not alone. And this is a theme that will come up time and time again as we explore what I believe to be one of the most cynical scams. I mean, most scams I guess are quite cynical that I've seen in recent times. Firstly, let me just say hi, hope you're keeping safe, hope you're keeping sane. I will understand at this point the irony of me promoting my Patreon, but I do have a Patreon. There will be a link in the description below. If you sign up there, obviously it helps support me make these videos. And if you don't want to do that, that's absolutely cool. Anyone who does that is appreciated. But if you just want to hit like, subscribe, do all that great YouTubery stuff, then that's very much appreciated and really helps push the message out there, if we want to say it in a really sort of wanky way. But yeah, helps me reach more people, which ultimately is the end goal. In recent years, we have become, as a society, far more attuned to mental health issues in men. We read a lot more about it, it's publicised a lot more, and as much as I hate the term raising awareness because it covers a multitude of sins, there has certainly been a lot of large-scale and high-profile advocates for men's mental health and for suicide prevention, which are incredibly important subjects to discuss as a society and as a nation. If you are currently experiencing severe mental health issues or any form of self-destructive ideology, then do check out the links in the description of this video, because there will be contacts you can reach out to, including the Samaritans, for any sort of immediate severe mental health concerns. If that is you, and if you are in any way contemplating some form of self-destructive behaviour, then stop this video and go and get in touch with them, because they are free of judgment, they are lovely people, they're volunteers, and they really do help thousands and thousands of people every year. So right, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about the scam I'm referring to. At very first, I'll put a caveat on this to say this is not to cover all the organisations and companies doing this, but there does seem to be hundreds and hundreds of companies that are currently flogging, promoting and heavily advertising, particularly on social media, clothing, often hoodies and t-shirts, that help promote awareness or raise awareness around men's mental health and support those who are suffering from severe mental health issues, depression, anxiety and suicidal ideation, I think, is the correct term. There are a couple of high profile brands who I won't mention in this video, and the reason I won't mention them in this video will come to light at the end. But for every legitimate brand there is that is selling apparel that promotes raises awareness of and supports legitimate men's mental health charities, both here in the UK and elsewhere, there are dozens, nay I say hundreds, of hastily put together, shoddy, low budget Shopify stores that are basically copy pasting these original designs. I'm sure I'll put some examples up on the screen, and turning them purely for profit. Alright, now firstly, this is an incredibly scummy thing to do. But there are two other major factors that, once I've been looking into this, I have discovered. Firstly, a lot of these hastily, shoddily put together Shopify stores, often with really obscure names that really relate to absolutely nothing, are merely that. They are simply a front. They will take your money and you will never ever receive any of the goods that you believe you have legitimately paid for. Okay, so basically in that instance they are just a complete scam. Obviously, what they're doing as well is they are taking away potential business from legitimate stores that sell these legitimate garments that support these charities. So if you were to go and buy one of these hoodies, then you may think, oh, that's great, you know, I'll give it a few weeks and I'll get that, and that's brilliant, and I've done my bit and it's been supporting other people, and lovely. But it will never arrive. And by the time you realise that you've been scammed, by the time you realise you're never going to receive your hoodie, nor are you ever going to receive your money back, the desire to maybe purchase that item, maybe more from a more legitimate source, or the desire to help with that bit of extra spare money you might have had thinking you were doing good, will have subsided. And so you'll never actually provide any benefit to those suffering from the causes that these shill companies purport to represent. The other thing is as well, if you do actually order from one of these companies and you get your hoodie that's probably drop shipped from China, then the chances are that none of the money that you've spent, even if you do receive the items, will actually go any way to supporting the causes they purport to represent. Yes, there could be an argument that you are raising awareness, and I do think that awareness is a very important thing. But I think to be promoting something to raise awareness and support mental health causes whilst pocketing all the profit for yourself is fairly scummy behaviour, even if you do actually deliver on the goods you say you're going to deliver upon. The one thing I'll then put onto this is, what are your motivations for buying these articles? Okay. Now, I realise that I am very much treading carefully on the grounds of hypocrisy here, because my YouTube channel is here purely to raise awareness and support people through addiction and the associated mental health implications that addiction will bestow upon you. Okay, and it would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that most of the videos are monetized. I don't monetize the ones generally around suicide or anything like that, because I think that's just plain wrong. And that I do have a Patreon. And where does that money from the Patreon and from the monetization go? Well, actually, it went on a new laptop and a new microphone and actually things for the channel. But it still technically comes to me, all right? So don't think that I'm saying this from a position of a high horse. But what I will say is, I believe that the value that I deliver, if these videos have any value to you, the value that I deliver is in the content of itself. All right, my content should realistically be an end in of itself rather than means to an end. I'm not saying I'm supporting addicts, so go over here and give me money. All right, if you like my videos, if you think they're helpful and you want to sign up to the Patreon, the way I see it, and people might disagree, by going over to my Patreon and signing up is the virtual equivalent of saying, Phil, really appreciate your support, really appreciate your help, like your videos, have a pint on me. All right, that's the way I see it, but you might think this is what I'm going to say is hypocritical. If your motivation to buy one of these t-shirts, one of these hoodies with one of these catchy and, dare I say, in many respects, actually quite poignant slogans on them, and you wear it, are you doing that because you genuinely wanted to support the cause, or are you doing it for the same reason that so many people post these awareness things on social media? Are you doing it purely to make yourself look good? If you do want to go to one of these legitimate stores that sell these mental health awareness, suicide prevention hoodies or t-shirts or whatever, okay, and there are some big brands out there who I'm not going to name because I want you to make up your own mind about them, then have a little look through. Have a little look through their information, and they will, if they're legitimate, say at some point how much of the proceeds of the sales of the items they're selling goes towards legitimate registered mental health charities. Now, one of the big players in this sphere, shall we say, I went on and I went through the details, and it turns out that they give 10%, all right, 10% of their profits, not 10% of the revenue, not 10% of the purchase price, but 10% of their profits, and I don't know what that's going to be after all the Facebook promotion and advertising and shipping and the cost of the item itself and all the rest of it, and maybe even paying their staff. It depends what level of profit they take, how many nets you want to put in front of that profit. But anyway, 10% of their profit to Mind, a mental health charity. All right. Now, Mind, bear in mind, pardon the pun, also then take all their operating costs, their revenue, their directors' salaries, all the rest out of that before any of that money really does any actual good. So, if you are in a position to spend 30, 40 quid on one of these garments, okay, and you want to do it genuinely, rather than to virtue signal, you want to do it because you want to support the causes, then maybe consider how much of that money is actually going to go to the cause, and possibly cut out the middleman and then just go and buy yourself a nice hoodie down Sports Direct or whatever. Now, I'm saying this fully aware that part of the reason that these companies say you should wear their garments is to help build awareness. and build the brand. And by building the brand, yes, I suppose maybe you are building awareness around this cause. All right, so I'm not going to dismiss that entirely. But if the reason you're doing it is because you want to look virtuous and you want to look like you're doing something good for charity, when realistically you could forego the middleman, give twice as much to the cause itself, and then just go and buy yourself a nice hoodie, then maybe you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And like I say, I'm very aware that I might be standing on slightly hypocritically shaky ground here, but I like to think that my value is upfront, and if you support me, it's just a thank you to me. I don't know. But with that being said, if you do want to go ahead and buy one of these hoodies, then go and make sure you buy it from a legitimate UK source or a local source wherever you live. Make sure it's not some just scam Shopify shopfront. Look through the small print, see what charities they support, see how much actually goes to the charities, and make a very educated decision. Let's stop these scammers from taking people's money in the interest of doing something that is a really, really, really important cause. Stay safe, stay sane. Thank you to everyone who chooses to support me in whichever capacity that might be. And I will, of course, see you very soon. All the best, guys.